A new article was posted recently by IGN on Dune Spice Wars, which not only gave us a new glimpse on the game, but they also provided 3 screenshots or 3 images, 2 of them being in-game screenshots and one of them being an official concept art that gives us some idea of what the units might look like. Right here, and in this video I want to go over that article and the screenshots itself, and although the article is fairly lengthy, it does provide us with quite a bit of new information. Now I will post a link to the article in the description itself if you guys want to check it out yourself, but the article goes as follows, quote, "The cutthroat competition, politics and warfare in Frank Herbert's Dune novels are a natural fit for strategy games, and Northgard developers, Shira Games, are looking to capitalize on that with their upcoming RTS 4X Dune Spice Wars. Releasing into early access next year, Spice Wars will have us using guile, military might and careful management of resources to control Arrakis, as a number of different factions representing the great houses and other important groups from the setting. The action will take place on a circular map representing Arrakis' North Pole, and will have the option to roll up a randomized version or use an official configuration that is very faithful to the description in the books. While the whole planet is, of course, a big desert, the devs have gone out of their way to make sure it doesn't all feel like a big sandbox. They even consulted a geologist to try and come up with enough visually and mechanically distinct types of arid terrain to keep things interesting." End quote. Now I just want to quickly pause here before I go on with the article, because looking at the way they're developing the map, it does seem like there might be some sort of random map generator that you can use over and over and over, which makes me wonder, is every game, every mission that you're going to play somewhat different to previous missions because of the randomized versions, because they do say you can also use an official configuration, so I do wonder if you can also customize certain map to an extent. Anyways, the article continues, quote, "Rocky areas are valuable as they offer some safety from the worms. Deep deserts are the opposite, acting almost like seas in a civilization game. Simply venturing into them will be suicidally hazardous until you unlock later techs. All military units will be limited by supplies, which can drain very quickly in unforgiving environments. And of course, the worms are an ever-present threat, with all of your units generating vibrations that will attract them. Your only option is usually to evacuate the area until it goes away." End quote. Now it's important they do say your only option is usually to evacuate, so that kinda does give me the indication that you can ride worms later on until you unlock the tech, because they do say that there's different techs that you can unlock throughout the game. So, and they don't say simply, you have to run away when you see the worms. They only say that your only option is usually to evacuate. So again, it makes me wonder, will you be able to ride worms in this game? Probably, but only much later on in the game. The article then continues, "Becoming the ruler of Dune can be accomplished in one of 3 ways: destroying all of your rivals outright, being declared governor using political maneuvering, or achieving a score-based victory, which can vary from faction to faction. The 2 factions that have been revealed so far are House Atreides and House Harkonnen, and true to their lore, the former has more options for diplomacy and indirect control, while the latter is focused on brutal military domination." End quote. Now the devs have gone on Twitter and said that House Ordos will not be part of this game, because Ordos is part of the older Dune game, but it's not part of the Dune lore. And somebody on Twitter did ask if they'll be part of Dune Spice Wars, and unfortunately the developers did confirm that they're not going to be part of the game. Continuing on with the article, quote, "House choice isn't the end of the story either, as you'll also choose a small number of counselors for each new campaign. These sub-leaders are drawn from your faction's cast of characters and can further customize your playstyle. Lady Jessica is an adept politician, for instance, while Duncan Idaho will give benefits to your military. Spice will of course be the main resource and the primary way to get money. Its price will fluctuate over time, and you will always have to decide how much to sell and how much to stockpile to take advantage of this. there won't be a full supply and demand system at launch, so you can't flood the market to suddenly deflate the price or hoard your stock to keep it high. But the developers are interested in looking into that kind of system more after the initial early access release. You'll also always owe a small spice tax to the Emperor, with dire consequences if you don't pay it. The Emperor isn't the only political force in the galaxy though, and interacting with the Landstrad, a ruling council of powerful houses, will also present its own challenges and opportunities. This is your principal link to the greater game taking place beyond Arrakis, where you can vote on resolutions to help yourself and or hinder your enemies. If you play your cards right, you can clinch a win by being named Governor of Arrakis. And not all of the maneuvering happens out in the open. Espionage will also be a major system, though you can choose to specialize in it heavily or barely touch it at all. The ideal Shiro sees for these shadow games is to reward players who can correctly predict what their enemies are going to do. For example, your agents could launch an operation to severely hinder an oncoming enemy army if you know the attack route they plan to follow. You should feel clever for reading the board and letting the enemy play into your hands like a chess master, not merely be rewarded for deploying spies out without a plan. All the while, we'll run into the side stories that can be anything from a one-off involving the recovery of a crashed ornithopter or a multi-step event wrapped up in a political subterfuge. The devs are striving for a balance between the natural storytelling that will arise from the AI Baron Harkonnen you're playing against, while acting like Baron Harkonnen, and more handcrafted mini-stories like this. They mentioned Solaris as a point of comparison, though each campaign should take only a few hours to finish as opposed to dozens." End quote. So again, quite a bit of information can be taken from this article itself. At the end there, they do say that some of the campaigns should take only a few hours to finish as opposed to dozens, so I can see this game having lots of mini campaigns. Again, initially when this game was revealed, I said that some of the artwork and some of the stats and stuff reminded me a lot of the Dune board game, so with the mini campaigns, again, it reminds me a lot of the way the board games are played out. Now, as I said in my initial video, I never played the board games itself. I've only watched people play it and watched a couple of reviews. So that is why when I look at this game, it reminds me a lot of the style and the play, the way those games, especially the political aspects of the game where you know, get spice, you have to trade it, you have to sell it, and all sorts of things, with the Emperor being involved. That is reminding me a lot of the board games itself. So I do wonder what kind of inspiration they took from the board games, putting it into this strategy game. But before I continue, I want to announce that I'm working alongside Demise on their new campaign, where they're launching an exciting new clothing line. These items range from hoodies to t-shirts, caps, beanies, and much more, and you can find the link to a discount in the description below. So you're going to want to jump on this one, and again, links are in the description below. Now, back to the video. Now, as for the two new in-game screenshots, one of them you can see a main base in the lower right corner, and then you can see there's some spice in the top there. You can see the spice seems to be indicated by the purple around the harvester, and then at the bottom left there is two ornithopters exploring, and then in the center is some troops just moving from one big city base to some smaller base, maybe exploring, maybe guarding, maybe they're gonna garrison, maybe you can garrison units inside a different base. And the second screenshot is just an ornithopter exploring in nighttime, which is a beautifully rendered vision of Dune, and I really like the way the art style of this game. You can kind of see the spice there flowing over the desert, reflecting in the moonlight at night, and again, I really love the art style of this game. And finally, the concept art that we got is from a trooper of House Atreides, and you can see there they're going for a more somewhat of a cartoon style approach when it comes to the characters, but they do try to stay faithful to the books itself, because if I look at this is the kind of the outfit of the troops that remind me when I read the books, not so much of the movie itself, but you can see the blades does look like some of the blades of the movie. So you have to keep in mind that they are in contracts with Legendary as well. So of course there's going to be some crossovers from the movie to the book, as well as their own interpretations of Dune. But so far, all of this information has me really excited about Dune Spice Force, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and for more Dune content, check out the rest of my channel. If you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down, but please tell me why so I can improve my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the RedTieGuy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.